Ryan and Kelsey, are you guys all good? Yes? Excellent. Okay. You can, I know we got a new speaker. Yes, thank you, Connor. That's fantastic. A bit of an echo, but that's fine.
Do you have to press on it?
No. Connor's running the board. I know, it makes a huge difference.
Can you hear in the back?
Steve, you can hear us, can't you?
You could probably hear better in the back.
All right, excellent.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, really. Excellent. Very good. So just a quick housekeeping. Open public meeting statement. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231 PL 1975 announcement, I wish to announce that the New Jersey Public Open Meeting Act law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business is affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the School Districts of the Chatham's Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, place thereof posted in the Board Administrative Offices, sent to the clerks of the Chatham Borough, the Chatham Township, the Library of the Chathams, the Chatham Courier, the Daily Record, the Star Ledger, and the TAP, the online newspaper. Mr. DeQuilla, would you mind taking roll call?
Mr. Gilfillan, Mr. Arnick? Yes. Ms. Chicarelli?
Here.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan? Here. Mr. Valenti? Ms. Weber?
Here. Mr. Valenti is en route, so he should be here shortly. If you're able, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is by the door. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh. Excellent. Very good. So just quick opening comments. We're swearing in a new board member tonight, which is fantastic. Bradley Smith is with us. So I'm going to turn it over to the township folks that spearheaded the meeting, the selection criteria and the process. So Michelle, if you wouldn't mind taking it.
Absolutely.
And then after you're done, I would like to say a couple of words.
Great. We, after Mary Chambers designated that she would be moving away, we posted for the position. Ms. Kenny spearheaded from the township, got the committee together, and started putting the word out, getting our people to submit and get resumes in. We had 5 people express interest in the position. We went down to a final set of interviews where it was myself, Mr. Arnick, Ms. Kenny, Ms. Weber sat in as a representative from the borough, and Mr. DeQuilla sat in as the board secretary. And it was really refreshing to see people show interest and engagement in the process and a willingness to come forward and serve on the board. We need people who are willing to do this. It's an important job. The candidates came with a lot of interest and a lot of different skill sets, but in the end, we felt that Mr. Smith had just what would be a good fit for the board. He has a background in finance. He's done fundraising for a national organization and has done that successfully to raise awareness. He's involved, has a lot of community involvement. He has 2 children, 3rd grade and 8th grade. He and his wife, Jessica, have lived in the township for 13 years, so he's been and his kids have been in our schools. So we're excited to have him join the board and bring his enthusiasm and excitement and some new ideas to us. And again, if anybody is interested in running, applications are due in July. If anyone who came forth and submitted and would like to go at it again, we encourage people to do so. And this position is filling Mary Chambers' term, which would be a 1-year position, basically 1 year from now. Okay, so that's it.
That's it. So why don't we go forward ahead with the swearing in? And then I would like to say a few words. Because I can, because it's President's comments next.
I don't know where I kind of want you. You can get the best shot on television.
Oh, I don't want to be behind this. I'm going to want to move.
We'll do like photobombing.
If you just
I
raise
know.
your right hand.
I feel like I'm photobombing.
I, Bradley Smith,
Do solemnly swear
that I will
support the Constitution
support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States and this state
in the United States and this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people. I, Bradley Smith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that I possess the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of a member of the Board of Education.
for the office of a member of the Board of Education.
I am not disqualified as a voter
I am not disqualified as a voter
pursuant to
pursuant to
RS
RS
19:4-1,
19:4-1,
and I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of that office
of that office
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations and welcome to the
Well done.
you know
Now you have to come up here.
Bring your beverage and join us.
Put your seatbelt on.
Giddy up. That's right. Michelle just said, put your seatbelt on. I just wanted to say a few words. I want to, first of all, thank Bradley Smith for stepping forward. A lot of people like to post, they like to talk, they like to gripe. Bradley's sitting in the seat, so I have to thank him for that. I also have to thank your family in advance, Jessica and Nick and Christian, for a bit of a sacrifice that you will be spending a few dinners. We'll try and minimize it, but a few dinners. So, Jessica, thank you in advance. I know you're watching on TV, for allowing Bradley to volunteer his time. You're going to miss a few dinners. You're not going to be able to discuss a few things amongst your family and friends. It's not always easy, but as a perk, you'll probably be the first to know about a delayed opening or snow day. So in that respect, you'll be a hero to your sons. So that's a good perk. Just as a reminder, elected officials, and I'm happy Carolyn Dempsey, who's our borough liaison, is also in the audience. This applies to all of our elected officials in town, at least. The job requires us to make a significant number of decisions. Some are super easy, some are not so easy. Some are mundane, and some are very controversial. It comes with the responsibility, and it's not a responsibility that we take lightly, and the decisions that we do make are made with extreme caution and a tremendous amount of care. And I have to thank Bradley for volunteering and stepping up and taking on that responsibility. I apologize now for some sleepless nights that are absolutely in your future. You now have 4,200 souls in your care. So welcome aboard, and thank you so much for joining us. So we appreciate your commitment.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Very good. So we're going to move on to the agenda. We have a fairly short agenda. So we're going to move it right over to Dr. LaSousa, Administrative Report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Weber. I'd like to start, of course, by welcoming Mr. Smith to the board. Originally tonight we were going to have two presentations. One of them was going to be from one of our assistant principals at Chatham High School, Doug Walker, who on an annual basis gives, along with others from the high school, an overview of what our most recent graduates are up to. But Mr. Walker lives up in Sparta, and I told him he should kind of skedaddle and will carry his presentation until our next meeting. So instead we have only one presentation tonight, and that will be from our auditor. On an annual basis, we are required by the state to have a full audit of our finances, and the business office, under the direction of Mr. D'Aquila, furnishes our auditor and their whole team of accountants with all of the financial documents necessary for them to probe our finances and offer any recommendations or other guidance that they see fit. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our auditor at this time.
Please welcome John Farina, the manager on the job from WIS that does the annual audit. John, you over there?
I'm here. Good, thank you.
Don't bury the lead.
Okay. Good evening. Again, my name is John Farina. I'm from WIS & Company, and I was the manager on the 2019 audit. Thank you for having us here tonight. Just want to start really by thanking Peter, Tatiana, Dr. LaSousa, and the entire business office staff for their cooperation during the audit. We do spend a lot of time here, probably more than some people want, but we request a ton of information, we review a ton of information, and really the timeliness that we get the information and the quality of the information that we get from the business office really helps for a smooth process. Met with the Finance Committee prior to this meeting, and we went through the report in more detail, so I'd just like to give a brief overview right now. The audit is complete. We have all the information that we need, and it will be submitted by the December 23rd deadline. In any audit, the most important part is the audit opinion. This report, once again, shows an unmodified opinion, which means it was a clean audit. As far as the financial end goes, the district continues to be in what we feel is good financial position. The district continues to maintain its undesignated fund balance at the 2% maximum allowed by state statute. The district is also maintaining its capital reserve and consistently finishes the year with fund balance in excess of the 2% limit of about $270,000 to $290,000, which is consistency is good in that area. As far as the auditor's management report, which is the thinner report that you receive, there were no findings this year that require corrective action by the district. So again, overall, very good audit, and thank you again. Sure.
Thank you for the report, and thank you
Okay.
for the, words of in orderness. But is there anything that you recommend that we could do better? Is there something we are, hitting the minimum enough? Of course, we could talk to Peter in the finance, but I'm just curious, do you make recommendations as well, or do you just give a satisfactory?
Well, if anything did come up in that management report, there would be recommendations, but there's nothing that we see that
Even just best practices, even if it doesn't meet the criteria?
nothing that we came up with. No.
Very good, thank you. Does
Okay.
anybody else have any questions for John? Sure thing.
Real quick.
Yes.
Off the top of your head, what is our credit rating?
Oof. I
Peter, do you know?
It is AAA.
triple A.
It's triple A.
I believe, yes.
When I talked to the last time I spoke to the financial advisor, she said we have the best credit rating that any district can have. And not many districts in the state have that rating, or continue to maintain that rating.
And so your report's consistent with that staying the
Consistent
same?
with
We're
that.
not in any danger right now?
Again, with consistency is key with the numbers every year, and healthy reserves. I know that they look strongly upon that.
Well, thank you for your time, John.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Travel safely,
Thank you.
because I know the roads are slick out there. We're pushing for a delayed opening. Excellent. Dr. LaSousa, did you have anything else other than wanting to talk about maybe delayed opening?
I think that is it for me at the present time.
Excellent. Moving over to the business administrator's report. Peter, would you mind?
Sure. Just as noted, we report all of the bus evacuation drills that need to happen twice a year in the fall and in the winter, spring. So each of the schools did their bus evacuations, and the information will be sent to the county office. As far as the construction update, the contractor is still working feverishly and getting closer. The catwalk and the stage rigging are currently being installed. Once the catwalk is done, then they can finalize the clouds and the lighting. And once that is done, they can install the floor, because they no longer need the genie lifts to get up to the ceiling. The seats, the latest update we have is they're targeted for January 13th. And yes, Ms. Weber, I know you're waiting for me to tell you that without a surprise, the substantial completion last Friday, the 13th, did not occur. We're targeting the week of June 6th. There was some... January 6th, I'm sorry. No, January 2006, 2020. So within a few weeks, they should be finalizing all of the different touches between this week and the two shortened weeks between Christmas and New Year's.
So is January 6th the real date? Because, Peter, I
The,
went
the
back...
week
wait,
of
wait.
January 6th. It
That's
will
fine,
be
week
that,
of.
that week.
That's
That's
fine.
what we were told. And, last week when we had the construction meeting, and we're meeting again Wednesday morning. So they are moving closer and making progress.
Yeah, really. I've been disinvited. But literally, I went back to all of the last 6 months, and we've been talking about the substantial completion date of December 13th. I was there Saturday. It is not substantially complete at all. There's still vents on the ground. The rigging, if by they're constructing it, it's on the stage, then okay. So I have a hard time grasping. We've been talking about December 13th literally for 6 months.
Correct.
including the last meeting of November 18th, where you had a construction meeting the next day.
Right.
How are we, we've missed December 13th, that's fine, I get it, construction, but I have no faith in the January 6th date, or the week of January 6th.
From the contractor, from Billy Construction, he says, they should be finishing the rigging before Christmas, which means then all the work on the stage is done. So that's basically where they work today and the 4 more days to work this week and Monday when they're working, and after Christmas. So that should be done.
Right.
And
Are our architects there? Are you
the
there?
architects, make routine visits just as
The sheetrock's still not done on the top.
just as well as we do. That has to wait. There was a little more venting that had to be done once the catwalk was done. So I'm only relaying what we get when we meet, and the architect says, when are you going to finish? Oh, I should have this done, this should be done, this should be done.
Okay.
And we've been on
So we have
the
no
contractor.
recourse. They can keep saying December 13th, January 6th, February 1st, March 30th,
As reasonable goes,
June
we do.
6th.
When they come to where I'm going to presume that if, they're not done by the middle of January, then the district can take the accounts that are built into the contract. So there are, delay penalties that can be installed. We're trying to remain, the contractor has been very responsive, so we're trying to be reasonable and, making sure he continues to work as well as all do his subs. Once we get to the week of January 6th, we'll reevaluate where he is. If, he's, okay, I just have to install railings and I'm finished, that's great. If the floor and, nothing else is done and it's in the same shape as, when I go Wednesday, then there's a big problem. We deal with that. The middle school, the principal and Mr. Lawrence, the head of the performing arts, know. They've moved the middle school play, they were staying with it at the high school, not trying to jam it on, on a, in a
No, they're
auditorium.
moving it to. All along, we said the production could be at the middle school. Now we're
Right.
changing
Well,
it to.
In a
the
long,
high
we
school.
were, they had the contingency of having it there, and
So-
we're hopeful they would have it at the middle school.
But we're
So,
enacting
yeah.
the contingency. It's not staying at the high school, to be clear, because it's frustrating to hear this every construction
Yeah.
project. And I know you get what you pay for. We have to go with the lowest bid, but it is so frustrating.
Right. It is, and I think the contractor has been diligent, and I think a lot of the different steel was delayed, and, we order steel, and they say, I'm gonna deliver, and they don't. He only can call and yell so many times.
So we
as
have no
well as-
recourse.
yeah.
Last time it was cement. This time it's steel. It's just incredibly frustrating.
I would love to see, even in dealing with contractor in my own house, one to say, yeah, it'll take me 5 days and finish in 4, but every time they say 5 days, it takes 6 or 7.
Right.
But
You didn't have to move out there. Now the kids, have to move up to the high school, and
Right.
I'm sure the administration will do it as best
Yeah.
possible. But it's a shame that the kids missed their opportunity. And could we have done something to know about this sooner? Because last meeting, November,
I think if you went,
18th.
realistically, when we painted the picture with the architect, he said, no, this is supposed to be delivered, installed, delivered, installed, delivered, installed. Now, obviously, different delays hit. So maybe if I wanted to be more pessimistic.
okay, I'm on board with that.
I'd say that, yeah, he's saying this, but it's probably going to be a month late.
Right.
I try to remain optimistic and paint
Well-
the best picture, but, maybe I'll take the pessimistic, view in the future.
Well, we don't have any projects on our horizon
No.
coming up.
This was the end of it until we start planning for, what we're going to do next summer, so.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? This is.
I'm just,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Sal.
go ahead, Sal. No, you go ahead.
Is there any way for us to get a reprieve or gain more control over the contractors who we can hire? I know the law says the lowest bidder no matter what,
Lowest reasonable bidder.
but is there any wiggle room? I wonder if our lawyers can look into the language.
We have looked into it, but Peter could best. speak to that.
We've, for certain things we can, and actually for the last 2 summers when we've done roofing projects, we've done them through the Ed Services Commission cooperative bid. So basically, Ed Services put out a bid for roof work based on time and materials, or, this type of, X amount of dollars for insulation, X amount of dollars for tar, X amount of dollars for this. And Tremco has been awarded that bid. And we have been using Tremco going through the Ed Services Commission, their, approved bid to do our roof work. What that means in the last few roof works, the last few roof jobs have gone well, is that Tremco comes and says, okay, here's the price that we estimate for it in accordance with the terms of the prior approved bid by the Ed Services. They price out the job, and they select 4 vendors to deal with, which you're getting the better of the roof vendors. And all of the vendors have been, all the roof work has been much better quality than when we did the low bid from the last of the referendum work that we did. So that is one way, but not every type, certain types of things aren't out on cooperatives or state contract. We try to use state contracts or cooperatives whenever we can, because you're getting a more responsible contractor. But some things don't allow us to do that. So we try our best. The architect verifies, in their circle and references of the different contractors to know who we're getting. And if we think we're getting someone that's not that good, we try to stay on top of them. And, for the most part, Billy Contracting has been extremely responsive and appears to be doing very good work in the auditorium. So we're relying on that, and, it is, I know, we were a broken record and kept saying December 13th up until the end when he was like, no, I'm not gonna make this. And,
But they had to know on November 18th.
yeah, I would think.
They weren't gonna make it.
He may have tried to.
So stop slow
hold us
walking
on.
us
Yeah.
and give us the real date.
Joe, I think we're where we are right now. So now it's December 16th, and this is where we're at. So I think maybe we can be a little more proactive on our end, and we need boots on the ground. I know when I've done work on my house, I pull out of the driveway, they wait about an hour, they pull out after me. It's like you have to, I mean it, like, and you come back and you're like, where'd everybody go? Everyone's just here. We need to have boots on the ground. So I think there needs to be unscheduled visits from now, almost every day. I'm not putting work on anyone, but I am putting work on
the
anyone.
architects.
On everybody. We need to have boots on the ground and say, what is your plan for today? What are you doing? What's happening tomorrow? And that we need to just get this done. We can't go back in time and question why they didn't tell us. They didn't tell us. Let's move ahead and put our own, what we can control is going over there. We can't get steel delivered
we do
any
that.
faster, but we can have
We
site
do
plan.
that. We've had boots on the ground in all the projects of recent memory. We've had boots on the ground, and we've had screaming matches, and we've had threats, and we've had pounding on the table, and sometimes that's effective and sometimes that's not, because these guys just do that all of the time, not to speak of the current contractor. We do have certain means to hold contractors accountable. We withhold payment, and we've withheld payments for months and months and months in other instances, and we can assess or levy, essentially a fine, not a fine, but a loss in their compensation if they exceed certain dates. So, like Peter says, this is not an instance where we've had a very tough time with the contractor. The contractor's been reasonable and responsive for the most part. I didn't expect to, I had told the middle school months and months and months ago, probably before the project even started, to plan on not being able to have the production in the middle school, because I thought it was optimistic to have the
That was not what was
production in the
reported
middle
at the
school.
last meeting.
No, but I told
ago.
I told the middle school, I told the middle school from the beginning they should be prepared, because all of our projects always run long, and regardless of how optimistic or hopeful we might be, we're frequently left in a situation where we're not done right at the time where we expect it to be done. And in this case, we were hopeful that everything would be wrapped up by the time the seats were delivered the first week of January. Obviously that's not the case, and we have to keep on pushing and do the best we can to bring the project to a close.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sure, Mike, go ahead.
What kind of, we talked about penalties in the contracts, but what ability do we have to put incentives in contracts to complete work sooner than expected?
Worked for my house.
I don't know with the public law. I have to check that one with the attorney in drafting contract, because we typically use a standard, type contract, which allows for
Look into that and
X
let us know.
dollars. Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mike. Any additional questions? No? Okay, very good. We're going to move on off of that, and Finance can take that up. Moving over to the committee reports, Mrs. Ciccarelli for Personnel,
We have not met since our last meeting. We're meeting on September 13th, January 13th,
or June 5th.
June 6th.
Okay,
Right.
great, thank you. Curriculum, Ms. Clark?
Curriculum met just prior to this meeting. We got an overview of the programs of studies for 2021 at Chatham Middle School and Chatham High School. There are going to be some limited changes to some of the computer and design classes. At the middle school, there'll be some an additional programming for American Sign Language at the middle school, just to accommodate the students rolling up. Just at the high school, there's very limited changes, some addition to some classes and just some renaming of classes. And the principal of both the middle school and the high school will be joining us on January 13th to give a more thorough presentation about the course offerings and programs of studies. So we can look forward to that. In addition, there was approval of textbooks for environmental science. That was it.
Excellent. Any questions for Michelle or anybody on the curriculum committee? Who, you're doing finance, Ann? Okay. Would you mind? Go ahead.
We met right before this meeting, and we first met with our auditor and just kind of went over the results of the audit that you all heard about. We talked a little bit about any capital project planning that we have for the 2020 to 2021 year. Still kind of working on that. And we also talked about the proposed housing developments in both the borough and the township. Matt Gilfillan and Mike Ryan and Jill Weber have been attending some of the meetings in both the borough and the township. It's all still fluid, and they're still talking about various things. So if people are interested, definitely keep your eye out on the tap for meeting dates for the township and borough planning boards. And we meet again February 3rd, unless need be prior.
February 3rd. February 3rd or 13th?
3rd.
3rd, sorry. I jumped ahead. I apologize.
Okay.
Excellent. Policy and planning, Ms. Kenny?
We have not met since our last meeting.
Excellent. Okay. Liaison report. So as Mrs. Ciccarelli just mentioned, Matt Gilfillan, Mike Ryan, myself, and Dr. LaSousa met with our council in the borough. Carolyn Dempsey helped arrange it. Mayor-elect Koblars was there, and Councilwoman Matheson was there, and some administrators were there. I think the meeting went extremely well. I think there was great dialogue. There was a absolute commitment in the room to all row in the same direction and make sure that we keep lines of communication open. I think the most important takeaway is that the council members were extremely supportive of providing financial support to the district. If the enrollments increase and there's other costs associated as a result of the development, the borough will work with us to, offset those costs in some manner. What we don't really know is it will be a per pupil cost. Will it be a capital improvement? It's way too early in the conversations to really lock that in one way or the other. But again, the huge takeaway was that the entire group, both bodies, were committed to ensuring that the school is not negatively impacted by the increased enrollment. And again, we don't know if it's going to be 1 kid or 100 kids. There's no real crystal ball. There is the Rutgers study, which says about 30-ish kids coming out of, I think, River Road. But there's not even a shovel in the ground, so we really don't know. So the big takeaway, and hopefully Ms. Dempsey agrees with me, that everybody's rowing in the same direction. There's nothing happening behind closed doors. We have very open communication. So that, I think, is the best possible scenario. I will promise you there will be no surprises. Nobody on this board and nobody on that council will be surprised about anything at any meeting, public or executive session. So thank you, Mrs. Dempsey, for helping us arrange the meeting. And we look forward to more meetings in the future as it gets closer, whether they have to be once a month, once a week, once a day, so be it. We'll make that happen. But it was really a very positive meeting. But Mr. Ryan, did you want to add? What was your take on it?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to echo, Jill, what you said. I think it was a positive meeting. It was very helpful, I think, for the council members to appreciate and get a perspective from us on what the actual financial situation that the school district faces when even there's one child that comes in, new student. It could be, that child could require some services that are quite expensive. So we don't know how many kids we're going to get, and we don't know what services those children are going to require. So it was very helpful for us to get together and put all of these things out on the table so everyone understands, what could happen in the future when these developments get built.
Right, good point, thank you. I appreciate that.
Out of curiosity, have you having similar conversations on the township side? Because
Not to that degree. I have met with Tracy Ness, who is the representative on the township, the liaison for the school district. They are just not as far along. They're even possibly considering changing the location of some of the construction. So the short answer is yes. I do meet with Tracy, but it's too early to bring in a larger group. That was really just to, open the door of communication and ensure that, the school district is not negatively impacted. When we have a more formal meeting, I prefer that, the finance committee kind of drive some of those conversations, because they're closer to the numbers. So the short answer is yes, but not as mature yet in the conversations.
I mean, one of my notes about the township was that they're now delaying some of their projects and kind of reevaluating. So I think what seemed to be almost concrete is kind of looking a little more not as in some
Okay.
locations. So I think, again, we're gonna have to watch the township closely because the impact will be real but I think it's gonna be a little further out.
Okay. Very good. And it's the school district's boards to communicate to the municipalities what that impact is. It's for the municipalities then to decide the best course of action for the projects and the towns going forward. That's their role. Our role is to ensure that they understand the constraints. If there's more kids in the district without any funding, there's increased class sizes or cut programs. It's as simple as that. So, again, I think the most important takeaway was open communication. And we'll do that in the township as well. Again, I think it's just a little premature. It's not our role to weigh in on, where the site should be, what it should look like, number of units. That's not what we were elected to do. Thank goodness. Sorry, Carolyn. So that was my borough report, a little bit long-winded, sorry. So Michelle, Township?
That was it, just that they're delaying their project.
Excellent. Athletic boosters? Nothing to report there. And then performing arts, just very quickly. On December 13th, this past Friday, there was an amazing trip that the high school voices and the select choir took. The choir performed at 4 locations in New York. One was Riverside Church, the United Natures, the Empire State Building, and concluding on the stage of Radio City Music Hall, opening for the Christmas Spectacular. There's video clips of some of those performances out on the Boosters Facebook and also on the School Districts of the Chatham's Twitter page, hopefully soon to be changed to Chatham Public School Twitter page. This week, we feature 4 performances. Chatham Middle School, 6th grade. This evening was canceled, right, because of the snow. Another reason we might need a delayed opening. Followed by Southern Boulevard's 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade concerts this week. The winter concert season will be concluded on January 8th with the high school symphonic band and wind ensemble. And a big thank you to the 3rd graders who sang down at the Chatham Borough tree lighting on December 7th. So thank you for helping spread
We
some
also had
Hollywood cheer.
students that were participated yesterday in Tuba Christmas, at Rockefeller.
Oh, at
Center.
Rockefeller
Yes.
Center? Oh, that's neat.
I
I
don't know
didn't.
how many, but I know there were a handful of
Oh,
them.
that's a
and I
fun
heard that the
time. They take their
performance was
tubas on the train and
awesome. Yeah.
perform
and
at
it was really
Rockefeller
cool.
Center. That wasn't on my report, but that's in a decades-long tradition.
Yeah. They even have hats made.
Wow.
Chatham Tuba Christmas.
See, it didn't say School Districts of Chatham. It said Chatham Tuba. Chatham Recreation, Mr. Gilfillan is not here. And Ms. Kenny for Education Foundation?
no update.
Nothing to report. Has the PTO District Cabinet met in December?
We did meet the first week of December. We talked a little bit about school start times, and I think that was about it. Nothing too significant.
And just to remind folks, the PTO district cabinets are the president and vice presidents of the 6 buildings, and they meet with the administration and when a board member is available. It's during middle of the workday, so it's not always possible. Dr. LaSousa, what was the sentiment on the school start for from the PTO presidents and vice presidents at the building level? Positive, negative, neutral?
Differing opinions, a general consensus, or if not almost a uniform agreement that high school starts too early and it's not good for kids, and a feeling among the parents in the room of high schoolers that anything to push back the time that the kids have to wake up would be a welcome change and improvement in their households.
Like a delayed opening, for example.
And I should mention too that the CHS Select and Voices choirs were in New York City. Ms. Grant accompanied them. But they performed at Riverside Church, the UN, the Empire State Building, and Radio City Music Hall, I think, all 4 of those places. And they were full day in Manhattan from like 8 a.m. or something until 10 at night, some crazy kind of schedule like that. But it was apparently a terrific, terrific day.
Well, thank you, Beth, for helping chaperone. You were with your peeps all day. Theater, music, was right up your alley. Excellent, thank you. Any additional comments, questions on liaisons? No? Very good. So I make a motion to pass the minutes of the November 18th public and executive sessions. Peter, Michelle was not at the executive session.
The regular, obviously, Mr. Smith and Mr. Valenti need to abstain. On the executive, Ms. Clark, Mr. Smith, and Mr. Valenti.
Okay, so just do it.
Yep. So the regular minutes, Mr. Arnick? Yep. Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Valenti?
Abstain.
And Ms. Weber.
Yes.
Passed 6-0-2. The executive minutes, Mr. Arnick?
Yes.
Ms. Chigarelli?
Yeah.
Ms. Clark?
Abstain.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain.
Mr. Valenti?
Abstain.
And Ms. Weber. Passed 5-0-3.
Yes. Excellent. We have our first opportunity for public commentary. Notice of the public comment time is hearing of the citizens of the public commentary section of the agenda is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are or are not topics scheduled for the current meeting. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers will be asked to limit their comments at a reasonable time. I only chuckle because there's about 3 people in the room. Mr. Henderson, can you tell me how many people are logged into the meeting right now? I need to know. Okay, thank you. So if
I only want to know if there's a delay meeting tomorrow.
7.
7.
All right.
It's
Are 3 of them?
Yeah. Okay, so Jessica Smith is on. His mom and dad. Excellent. Bradley, you're helping our numbers already. 7. Excellent. 7. Can somebody get on Facebook and say they're talking about delayed opening or not? That'll get everybody's attention.
Okay. Hi, thank you so much, Carolyn Dempsey, Chatham Borough. First of all, I want to say congratulations and welcome to Mr. Smith. And I have known Nikki and Christian since they were babies, and I'm very excited that you have taken this on. Thank you so much, and Jessica too. And
Official. Carolyn's much more polite about it.
welcome to the fun fraternity. And then also I want to say publicly thank you to President Weber and Mr. Ryan and Mr. Gilfillan and Superintendent LaSousa for attending our meeting with members of the Borough Council and professionals and members of the administration last week. I agree. Thank you for your comments. I think it was a really constructive, positive meeting, and we are committed as the borough moving forward for open communication, and we absolutely value our school district and do not want to take steps to negatively impact the school district. And so we thank you for being willing to openly communicate with us. And with that being said, I know there's a lot of rumors going around about development, and you see things on Facebook saying, it's going to be 500 units and blah, blah, like that things are set in stone. And if the 7 people who are listening out there have any qualms or issues or ideas or anything about development in the borough, please go to, we have 2 email addresses, Post Office Plaza at chathamborough.org and River Road Development at chathamborough.org. And really, those are the places honestly, your ideas are going to be heard there, and they're going to be counted. And if you just gripe on Facebook, then that's just going to rile people up and spread rumors. And so please, we do want to hear your input. And so please go to those, Post Office Plaza at chathamborough.org and River Road Development at chathamborough.org, because we do want to hear from the public. Absolutely.
meeting, maybe on this particular topic?
We have a special meeting on Thursday, or I shouldn't say special, extra meeting. It's a Borough Council meeting, but they're all special in our hearts. But it was just, we had extra business, as you know, so that's this Thursday. There's a Chatham Borough Council meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
All right,
Thank
thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline. Congratulations to your newly minted Eagle Scout last
Oh,
night. So well done. Tell
thank
him
you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It
Quite
was
an
very
accomplishment.
exciting. Yeah.
Well
and
done.
Thank you to your husband who helped in the process. So
That's why
we
my
appreciate-
basement's not getting cleaned.
Yeah, there you go. It's all those Eagle Scouts.
Yeah, that's it. Well, tell them congratulations. That's
Thank you.
quite an accomplishment.
I will. And then I'll just, because I'm enjoying talking up here with you guys, I was at Radio City and at the Empire State Building for their performances, and it was tremendous. And thank you so much, and thank you to the Arts Department and to Mr. Bryson, and it was just one wonderful opportunity for our kids. So, and they sounded amazing at Radio City, like incredible. So,
I saw the
Yeah.
feed. I listened to it earlier.
yeah, it was incredible.
That was
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're gonna like Mr. Heaps better.
Christmas tree sale.
Good evening, Bill Heap, Chatham Borough. Would like to inform everybody that the tree sale is moving along. And we were told in no uncertain terms from our supplier that we would get no Fraser firs at all. Well, guess what? The truck arrived and there were 100 Fraser firs on it. That's the good news. The bad news is they're all gone, so you missed it. You had to be quick. And we expect maybe by this weekend to be out of trees. So if you want to get a Christmas tree, you should hurry up. Also, we have partnered with Terry McCabe over at Scoops Ice Cream to feature a Chatham tree sale Sunday. Scoops is Chatham's premier creamery, and if you can think about this, you just close your eyes and think about a scoop of coffee ice cream covered with chocolate chips, smothered in hot fudge with a little whipped cream on top, some sprinkles, green and red, to add a festive touch, along with a cherry on top. That portion of those proceeds will go to the sale, and we need some taste testers. So what better way than to have a discerning board test the product and give us a report on how this is. So I would like to hand out as a thank you, a Merry Christmas to all of you, and thank you for everything you do. So I have some vouchers in my hand.
Oh, thanks, Bill. See, Bradley, it's paying off already.
They give us stuff every meeting. I think you brought in the best, Bradley. Merry Christmas. Thanks, Mr. Heath.
Thank you, Bill.
I expect a report back from everybody.
Thank you so much.
At length. Any additional public commentary out there? Maybe some of the 7 are rushing down right now. Okay. Well, there's another opportunity at the end, so I'm going to close the public commentary and move on with the regular agenda. We're going to move on to personnel first. Dr. LaSousa, did you want to talk? Should we move the action items first and then?
I can mention now that
Okay.
I just want to thank Mr. Bill Librera, for serving as our assistant principal and athletic director, person responsible for overseeing athletics for the past 8 years or so, and wish him the best and say that we are already working on securing his replacement. Ms. Grant and Mr. Groh are screening resumes right now. We actually have a pretty good crop so far. So they're going to be doing that in the coming weeks, and then we will broaden the selection process to a certain number of folks who will join us on a committee, and then we'll bring in semifinalists, if you will, for the committee, and ultimately, hopefully, come to a selection sooner rather than later, but not in a rushed way. We want to make sure that we find the very best person, and if that means that we have to wait a little bit into the spring, then that's what we'll do.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you to Bill for all his hard work, and it's no surprise that many of our supervisors go on to other districts in promotion positions at all. So congratulations, and it was nice while we had him. And we have him till the end of January?
Yes.
Okay.
He's a great guy. We're very lucky to have him.
Yeah. Maybe we'll circle back sometime. Never say never.
That's right.
So moving right along for personnel, Ms. Ciccarelli.
I'd like to move action items A1 to A17 on the regular agenda.
Just a reminder, the agendas are posted on Friday afternoon, so sometimes it appears that we go through them quickly. It's that we've read them prior to this. Does anybody have any questions on any of the personnel items?
I can't answer them anyway.
Seeing none? Okay. Peter, do you mind?
Agenda items A1 through A17. Mr. Arnick? Yes. Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Valenti? Yes. And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Passed 701.
Excellent. Moving on to finance and facilities. Would you mind?
I would not mind. I'd like to move agenda items B1 to B15 on the regular agenda. Anything else standing here?
Number 8 is a scholarship fund.
Yes, so the Peter Stasser Scholarship Fund donation in the amount of $6,881.60 to be used to fund the annual scholarship in the amount of $1,000 for a CHS graduating student.
15.
Hold, please. Pages are stuck. Oh, and a Milton Avenue School PTO donation in the amount of $8,062.50. Donation from the mural residency of Karen Frost Olmsted from the Milton Avenue PTO.
Excellent.
Yes.
Any questions on finance or facilities? Seeing none, Peter?
Sorry. Agenda items B1 through B15. Mr. Arnick?
Yes.
Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Valenti?
Yes.
And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Passed 701.
Okay. Ms. Clark, would you move the curriculum items?
I will. I move curriculum items 1 through 5 on the regular agenda, and just be mindful that number 4 is amendments to the calendar. If you haven't had a chance to look at that,
Second.
look now.
Can I second it?
If you want.
Second. So just a reminder, we brought this up last week. We talked about the amendment to the calendar for next year essentially was to close the schools on Election Day because of the amount of traffic in the schools. We have 2 voting places, the middle school and Washington Avenue, and there's a tremendous amount of traffic, and it's difficult to control and secure. You are prohibited by law from having a uniformed officer at a polling place or within so many feet of a polling place. I forget the distance, but not close enough to react if something happens. So we had talked about it last week, and I believe the board was in favor of moving forward with that, just flipping Election Day and Columbus Day. And this way we're closed. It's not an issue. People can come and vote. Parking will not be an issue. Residents can park wherever they want and vote, and it won't be an issue. So I just want to remind folks of the dialogue from the last meeting.
So it's just
go ahead, Michelle.
No school for students, a professional development day for staff on Election Day. So there will be people in the building. There just won't be students.
Right.
Did we have a second?
I seconded,
Okay,
yes.
we're good.
I did before I started talking more. And an additional change to that same week, we're going to have, typically we have a half day before the teacher convention, the Thursday, Friday, I apologize. The Wednesday before that will be a full day, so we'll pick up some extra curriculum time, but we'll still have off the Thursday and Friday of that week. Does anybody else have any questions or comments, or are they good with the change? Okay. Okay, Peter, I think we're good.
Okay. Curriculum items C1 through C5. Mr. Arnick?
Yes.
Ms. Chigarelli?
Yes.
Ms. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Kenny?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain.
Mr. Valenti?
Yes.
And Ms. Weber?
Yes.
Agenda items passed 701.
Okay, policy's been busy. Ms. Kenny?
Yes, I'd like to move action item D1 for vote. It's the second reading.
I'll second.
Were these changes mostly down from Strauss Esme?
They were.
Or did you pen them yourself?
I would like to take credit, but I
Okay.
would
Yeah, they're
have give
pretty-
it to
Excellent.
Strauss Esme.
And so we work with a firm that standardizes most of the changes that come down from on high. Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? There you go.
Duly noted, passes D1 passes 701.
Excellent. Okay, then just quickly a few items on board business. I had asked Peter to add these out here, just one, so that they'd hit the calendar early, and if folks want to hit the agenda early, and if they'd be posted early, and folks can see what we're going to talk about. So we talked about closing the school on Election Day, and we passed that just a moment ago. The school calendar for 21, it says 20 here, but it's really 21, 22. Peter, there's a typo there. Thank you. So when we get together, the board often reviews calendars for 2 years out, typically in the spring-ish time, spring to almost up to summer. When we started talking about later start times, some of the feedback was, hey, what about starting school earlier in the year? Mr. Ryan and Mrs. Ciccarelli and I attended a conference down in Atlantic City, and one of the topics was later start times or earlier start times, and they put up a map. The entire United States starts earlier, and there's like 2 states, New Jersey and one other, it escapes me which is the other state, that start after Labor Day. So it was really eye-opening that we're one of the few states. So what I'm just requesting is that the administration, when they present the calendars, that they add in an option to start school a little bit earlier. One of the reasons that they stayed was that they get more instructional time before some of the standardized testing. So if you pick up a week in August, then you get out a week earlier. So the options are you get out a week earlier, or possibly, depending how the calendar falls, having a full break in February. So if the board is okay with that, I was just hoping the administration, as one of the alternatives that folks can weigh in on, the teachers as well as the parents in the community, to present a calendar where we start a week or so earlier. I leave it to your discretion. Does that mean 5 days, 4 days, 7 days? Again, I didn't look at the 21-22 calendar, but if you could just present that as one of the options. Is everybody okay with that? Sorry, Lotta.
I guess I'd also like to possibly suggest the teacher convention days, and not make them necessarily days off. And I know by the contract, teachers should be allowed to attend, should they? But I think that it might be worth, since we're talking about the calendar, to say let's have those to be school days and not.
Okay. Would that be discussed in curriculum traditionally, or policy?
Probably policy.
Policy? Okay.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So let's cue that up as well.
Do any other districts actually go to school those days?
Some do.
Any J districts?
I don't know. I know that there are a couple in Sussex County, Warren County that I've seen.
Okay.
Do you know how many teachers actually attend the conference?
I don't know that number definitively.
Okay. Excellent. And then the CHS start time, Dr. LaSousa, is there any update on that, or still moving forward?
No update at present, still conversations happening and explorations being made.
Okay, excellent. Do you have a timeline as to when you might present additional? You had originally put 6 options on the board. Again, that was just to get the conversation rolling. You're probably up to, option number 57. Do you have a timeline on when you might circle back with your top 6 again, which may look nothing like the previous 6?
Certainly want to provide another full update to the board this spring.
Springtime?
Because we will be a year out, let's just say, from the target, or a year and a half out from the target time. So I'll keep you posted.
Okay, I'll keep asking.
Please do.
Will do. Excellent. And the last item was something that we discussed at the last meeting, and that I'm going to probably bring up at several meetings, is about 33 years ago, the districts merged. I guess to make it more palatable, we were called the school districts of the Chathams. We are in different databases and under many different names, and I was just suggesting to the board that we simplify it and just call ourselves Chatham Public School District, because the tuba Christmas, it was the Chatham tuba players, it's the Chatham Voices, it's the Chatham Marching Band, it's Chatham Performing Arts, it's Chatham, all those sports teams.
Half the time they can't find us.
And yeah, that's my concern, and I see Ryan nodding in the back. The students, when they go to competitions or they go to some event, sometimes it's under S for School Districts of Chatham. Sometimes it's under T for the School Districts of the Chatham. I believe you or Mr. Carney said one time it was under D for Districts of the Chathams. The Chathams, the sailing gentleman told me at one time it was Chatham's Cougars, and so it's not always consistent. And since most of our spirit wear says Chatham, our hats say Chatham, I've never seen a single hat that says the School Districts of the Chathams, unless you have one, Mike, in your drawer.
Our mail says Chatham.
Our mail says Chatham. So again, not looking to move on anything tonight. And this is something the board can take action on. It doesn't have to go out to a vote. I just wanted to start the dialogue. Again, this is not starting it. This is at least the second time we've talked about it. So I don't know if any other board members have any thoughts, if they're in favor of it. Oh my gosh, it's a horrible idea. Stop talking about it. Continue to talk about it.
It's clean and simple, and just do it and move on.
Okay. And again, I look to the administration. Let us know if there's some reason that we shouldn't. If it's going to be an arduous task for the administration, we're probably not really up for that right now. But if you're telling me it's a few bank account changes, if it's going to be an arduous task for the counseling department, we want to know that. So if you could just maybe poke the bear a little bit and see if it's simply just a name change, then we can move forward a little quicker, or schedule it for 2021 or whenever. Just June 6th seems to be a popular date to to change that. But is anybody completely opposed to the idea, throwing up on the idea completely? We only need 5 votes, so if a few of you throw up, I'm okay with that.
At this point, I'm not supportive of it. I don't.
Not supportive, okay. I knew that. That's why I wanted to ask.
If there are any costs associated with it, I want to know what they are and how much.
Okay,
Same thing, in terms of costs,
sure. Understand.
just to know what it is.
Sure, absolutely.
Stationery,
Yeah.
Everything's
That
print
kind
on
of stuff.
demand now.
Yeah.
But, okay, so you'll let us know. Again, I'm not looking to rush that. It's not
What I-
critical.
What I think may be the biggest obstacles is I'm not sure how you go about changing the name on a federal ID number.
Yeah.
Or with all of the places that the district is registered for financial reports or other reports, or even with the state trying to change, the name and, going through the state of changing the district name. But we'll start asking the questions.
Yeah, just start asking the questions. It was done December 22nd, 1986.
I know. I dug it up and gave you that
You
copy.
did, thank you. I'm keeping it in my folder. Okay, very good. So we don't need to talk about that anymore, this meeting. So we have our second opportunity for public commentary. If anybody has something that is burning, that they just can't. We do not have an executive session, correct?
No, it is snowing and icing at the moment.
Do we have a, so let's wrap this.
Which is why we should get home before it ices up more. And again, I'm teasing Dr. LaSousa, but it's not just the parents and the students getting to school. We have teachers. We have 400 other staff members. Some come from out of state. So I'm making light of it, and I really shouldn't, because Dr. LaSousa has a tremendous responsibility. But you got to remember, it's not just us trying to get our Pebbly Poos to their school, which is 2 blocks away. We have staff and teaching staff and support staff that come from quite distances. So safety is paramount. I tease you.
Has to run to school and
Yeah, really. So our concern is, in this instance, safety. So whatever you decide, Mike, we're behind you, particularly if it's a delayed opening.
Let's adjourn so I can get to
Alrighty, so I make a motion to adjourn.
See you in 2000.
All those in favor? Thank you, everybody. Drive safely. I appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
Oh, Carolyn.